My name is Claire Coleman. I am Connecticut's Consumer Counsel and the head of a state agency called the Office of Consumer Counsel, also known as the OCC. The OCC is an independent agency with statutory responsibility to represent Connecticut customers in 5 regulated utility sectors: electric, gas, water, telephone, and to some extent, cable television. It's our job to make sure that the voices of utility customers are heard. This training video is part 1 of a series suitable for all customers and focused on those interested in learning more about getting involved in PURA dockets. In this training series, we provide information, resources, and guidance to enable participants to effectively engage in Public Utility Regulatory Authority or PURA dockets. PURA is a body of decision makers that interprets and applies the laws governing Connecticut's utilities. PURA conducts its proceedings in dockets, which are quasi-judicial cases focused on a specific topic. OCC advocates for consumer interests as a participant in all dockets before PURA. In this first training, we cover the role and function of OCC and PURA. OCC consists of attorneys, accountants, financial analysts, and support staff. We have specialized expertise in the very complex process of creating utility rates, as well as the rules and laws that utility companies must follow. OCC is automatically included in all dockets, and we can ask questions and provide comments at points in time as specified by the schedule for each docket. OCC's comments always address ensuring reasonable rates and the best utility service possible for all customers. OCC's additional areas of interest and advocacy include energy and water affordability, a cost-effective transition to clean, local energy resources, digital equity, and consumer engagement. Because our responsibility and mission is to advocate for the interests of customers more generally, we are not able to represent the specific viewpoints of each and every customer group. That is why it is so important for other participants to also speak up in PURA dockets. In addition to the broader consumer representation that OCC provides, individual consumers and stakeholder groups can request to join PURA dockets to represent their own positions directly. The more people that offer their thoughts, and the more likely it is that the PURA decisions will address the perspectives of all people who are affected by the operations of utility companies. In these presentations, we refer to individuals that join uncontested PURA dockets as participants, and individuals that join contested PURA dockets as intervenors. You may also want to better understand the role and function of PURA. PURA regulates utility companies by deciding the rates they are allowed to charge and the rules that they have to follow in providing services to customers. PURA is a panel of several commissioners. There is currently a chairman, vice chairman, and 2 commissioners. The chairman assigns a panel of commissioners to each docket and decides who should lead the docket. Utilities are monopolies, meaning they have no competitors. If you don't like the services or prices of an unregulated business, like a particular restaurant, you can decide not to eat at that restaurant anymore, because you can choose a different restaurant with better prices or services. You don't get to choose whose poles and wires deliver your electricity, or whose pipes deliver your water or gas. Only one company is allowed to own the utility infrastructure that serves your home or business. Without government intervention, these monopolies could set price high or reduce the quality of their services, and consumers would have no other options. Utilities are also public necessities, meaning they provide services that support human life. For these reasons, the utilities' performance must be regulated. PURA is directed by law to ensure that Connecticut's utilities provide safe, clean, reliable, and affordable utility infrastructure and service. Utility performance is measured against these goals. Participating in dockets provides a way for regulators and other stakeholders to review what utilities are doing and determine if they are doing a reasonable job or if changes are needed. Let's look at what PURA can and can't do. PURA is a quasi-judicial agency that has decision-making authority over Connecticut's utility sector. PURA interprets Connecticut statutes and regulations and applies them. PURA determines whether utilities' investments and operating costs are appropriate and authorizes the rates utilities charge. PURA also provides guidance on what utilities should do and how they should do it. PURA creates legally binding rules or orders and can enforce these rulings through penalties. However, there are limits to what PURA can do. PURA does not draft new laws, which is the role of the legislature. PURA must follow and implement the existing laws that govern PURA's role and decision-making authority. PURA can only regulate those entities that it is legally permitted to regulate, which include electric distribution utilities and retail electric suppliers, gas distribution utilities, large non-municipal water and sewer utilities, and certain telecommunications, video, and internet providers. And PURA can only act on information that is in the public record. Now I will turn to explaining what these trainings offered by the Office of Consumer Counsel will cover. PURA's website and YouTube channel offer some information regarding docket participation. This and subsequent OCC trainings build upon that information and answer specific questions you may have after reviewing PURA's materials. We recommend the PURA 101 Roadshow and several other PURA training videos, including the why and how of setting utility rates, an overview of rate cases and why it matters to you, and how to navigate PURA's online docket system. We also recommend the National Science Foundation's video on what is energy justice for more information on procedural equity, which is the goal of these trainings, as well as other important components of energy justice. We offer a quick introduction to procedural equity in these trainings. You can also learn more about participating in PURA dockets through their public participation webpage. While we direct you to some PURA resources, PURA's role is to balance the interests of customers and utilities. Our office's perspective and approach to these dockets is 100% directed toward advocating for the interests of utility consumers. Our trainings may reflect this mission in a different manner than PURA trainings. Participation in PURA dockets can be time-consuming, and there is a learning curve for people new to the process. The way people communicate in dockets may feel more formal than in other situations. We want to make the process as easy as possible for you and help you to be as effective as possible with expressing your positions. To that end, we start by providing some background information designed to provide a succinct overview that should be sufficient for many participants. Over several training sessions, we will discuss ways that you can engage in PURA dockets, explain why your engagement is important and how it can impact decision-making, and provide pointers on how to get started. Before participating in a PURA docket, it helps to understand OCC's role and how PURA works. We will define and discuss procedural equity and how more participants and more diverse voices can contribute to better decision-making, walk through the experience from your vantage point, including what you may see and hear along the way, provide strategies for participating in dockets with concrete examples for you to consider, give you tips and tricks for obtaining information from other participants in dockets, like the utilities, through questions called interrogatories, and for advocating for your viewpoints and recommendations through comments. And finally, we will talk about how the experience will conclude, what you can expect to get out of it personally, and how your contribution can affect change. Also, we mentioned procedural equity and want to help you better understand what that means and why it is important. Procedural equity is the inclusive, accessible, authentic engagement and representation of all interested individuals in processes. It is one of the 3 dimensions of equity, which also include recognitional and restorative equity and distributional equity. All dimensions are important and should be addressed. The purpose of these trainings is to improve procedural equity in PURA dockets by making you aware of points at which decisions are made, providing you with the opportunity to participate in this decision-making, increasing your formal participation in this decision-making process, and improving the effectiveness of your participation. Procedural equity is crucial because PURA can only make decisions based on the information formally submitted on the record in dockets. If certain types of communities are not represented or underrepresented in PURA dockets because they are unable to participate, PURA may not have sufficient information to consider these positions in its decision-making. OCC's goal for these trainings is to address the gap and ensure that all individuals who want to participate can ask questions and provide their input and recommendations. These trainings will not provide legal advice, information about compensation processes, or troubleshooting. This concludes this training video. Now that you have understood the roles of PURA and OCC and what PURA can and cannot do, we invite you to view the next training, where we will look at what the public record is and how you can participate in a PURA proceeding and help build the public record on which PURA relies. Thank you.